Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another episode of OSI Today, the podcast featuring news and views from around the Office of Special Investigations. I'm Wayne Amon from OSI Public Affairs, and in this edition, we continue our special series, My OSI Journey, which showcases the diversity and inclusion of our command-wide members. And today, I'm really pleased to be joined by the Counterintelligence Lead and Program Security Officer at Office of Special Projects, Detachment 9, Operating Location JSF at Arlington, Virginia, Special Agent Aaron Garcia. Aaron, great to have you on board. Welcome to the podcast. Love to have you with us.
Thanks, Wayne. I'm excited to be here.
Okay, now we have a lot of new listeners to the podcast and to OSI. So for the novices out there to OSI, could you kind of briefly explain to them in layman's terms what does your job entail? Because you have a pretty impressive title, that's for sure.
Yeah, thanks, Wayne. It's actually one of the newer positions that have been recently added by OSI PJ. The JSF, or Joint Program Office, F-35 program is one of the largest acquisition programs we have within the Air Force and the DoD, actually. And so they found it necessary to add additional program security officers that are primarily responsible for technology protection of our special access programs.
Right.
The counterintelligence lead part of that is the agent side of me that has to look at it, the program as a whole, from a counterintelligence standpoint, and how do we incorporate counterintelligence to better protect our technologies?
Right. Well, it sounds like a major responsibility, and I'm sure that and reading your biography, you've embraced it very well. That's for sure. Now, getting to your biography, I noticed that as far as your education is concerned, you've really had a lot of great experience book learning wise, as far as getting an Associate of Applied Science in Criminal Justice, a Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice, and a Master's of Criminal Justice Administration. Now, from that alone, is it safe to say that is that how you originally became interested in law enforcement to such a major degree?
Actually, not really.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, surprisingly. So my start in the military ultimately was with the United States Marine Corps. I came in active duty back in '93 and was an active duty Marine in communications.
Okay.
My choice to eventually get my education in criminal justice came much later as I explored my opportunities within the enlisted career field.
Right.
And I thought, I should probably go ahead and take advantage of these associate degrees that the Air Force was offering, and actually took advantage of two of those, initially starting in communications or information security, if you see the other associates in there.
Sure. Well, that's interesting. Now, was it after you got the criminal justice academic background that, and then you switched to OSI? Is that a fair assumption that that got you kind of wetted your whistle a little bit for the law enforcement part of you to become interested in going toward OSI?
Yeah, absolutely. I was active duty Marines prior, and eventually became an Air Force reservist working in communications. In combat crew comm and security and law enforcement were kind of the areas that I was leaning towards as part of my reserve career field. And ultimately, that's what got me the associate's degrees. Working combat crew comm or ComSec as a base ComSec manager at a couple of different locations as a civilian.
Right.
I got really interested on the reserve side to expanding that side of my career. And I started to explore joining OSI as an IMA. I did listen to one of your previous podcasts, and I know you got to talk to the colonel related to IMAs and what we do as an IMA.
Right.
And eventually applied. Eventually was turned down originally, and reapplied at another location. And it turned out that active duty wise, they weren't as familiar with how to handle IMA. So my first package, I determined or found out later, was not as complete as it probably should have been. And obviously affected my ability to be accepted. But eventually was accepted in 2003. Went to FLETC in that time frame, graduated in 2004, and was
now again,
reserve.
if I may interrupt real quick, now FLETC again is the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center at Glencoe, Georgia. Again, for our novice listeners out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Apologize for not explaining that, but yeah, I got an opportunity to do that as an IMA, and was one of the first to go through that new training program in Glencoe at that time.
Yeah. Wow, that's a great story. Now, you going through Glencoe, you went through the OSI Academy. Now, how did your OSI career begin following your education there at Glencoe?
Well, similar to, again, your previous podcast that talked about IMAs, I was a civilian ComSec base manager at Nellis Air Force Base, and when I finished FLETC and graduated, I was assigned to the Nellis Air Force Base.
Right,
Nevada,
that's
my first assignment. As my first assignment. And the difficulty for a reservist in that particular situation, coming in as not prior OSI, was trying to get through all of your probation requirements.
Is that right?
It's very, very difficult to do, even as a general probationary agent, to find the time to hit all the various training aspects that you have to hit. And as a reservist, that's even more difficult.
Right. It's a real balancing act, from what I understand, in talking to other IMAs.
Yeah, it was definitely very, very difficult, but I was definitely enjoyed it, and what it did is that's what really gave me the excitement for furthering my career within the federal law enforcement side of the house and within OSI. That's actually when I continued to pursue my bachelor's and master's degrees in criminal justice, and then eventually applied for OSI as a civilian. Later on, 2006 is when I applied and was accepted.
Wow. Now, you just alluded to it. It sounded like, the balancing act was maybe one of the biggest challenges that you faced once you joined the Office of Special Investigations. Is that a fair assessment? And how did you overcome them? Was it just basically perseverance?
Yeah, basically, as your previous podcast has talked about, it's a balancing act of trying to meet the needs of your full-time civilian position and understanding that's actually what pays the bills.
Yeah.
With meeting the expectations of your commanders within the OSI community who understand these reservists or IMAs to come in and kind of fill the gaps.
Right.
They have specific times and needs in which they need you to come in and fill those gaps. Those don't always line up with the civilian time that your current boss needs to allow you to leave or can allow that to happen. And so finding those balances, finding the right times to say yes and the right times to say, I just can't do it this time, is where you have to really earn your keep.
Right. Yeah, I know it's difficult to be in two places at once. There's no doubt about that. Now, Aaron, what or who inspires you to do your best within OSI? Is there someone that you kind of, you look up to maybe as a mentor that inspires you to do your best job for us, OSI, and give it your all?
I would obviously say that all of my leaders throughout OSI are some of the best leaders that we have in the Air Force, and someone that has worked, prior Marine, prior traditional reservist with a regular reserve unit, working in the civilian side of things from the Air Force as a civil service civilian, prior to becoming an OSI agent. Our leaders are very few and far between, and it seems like we do a really, really good job of identifying those, training those, and giving them the right tools to lead the folks that they need to lead, mentor them the appropriate way. Because almost every single one, I would say even every single one of my SACs, DETCOs, superintendents that I've had to work for have had a significant part of my success, all the way from when I was a brand new IMA probationary agent at a Nellis,
Right.
to Little Rock, to OSI PJ. I've always had great mentors that have kind of pushed me to that next level, to that next great thing, whether that was education or PME,
Right.
professional military education, or volunteerism, or just jumping out of your comfort zone in certain areas. They were always really, really good.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And you're not the first one that I've heard that from, as far as placing a lot of thanks in the hands of the detachment commanders and the special agents in charge, like you just mentioned. Those kind of, for lack of a better term, those mid-level people really do a great job in mentoring folks, and they seem to be kind of a linchpin within the organization. Is that a fair assessment?
Absolutely. And like I said, there's every single one of them. I can point to specific instances in which I've gone to them with a question or an opportunity that I thought could better my career, could better OSI as a whole.
Right.
And every single one of them has been really supportive in those options. All the way up to my current one. I just recently came out on the GS-14 promotion list.
Congrats on that, by the way.
Appreciate that. And that had a lot to do with my previous supervisor. He took the time after hours to really work with me one-on-one on the various things that I needed to do to be better and more successful at the interview process and the whole package that has to be submitted and the things that I need to have done to make sure that I have a successful package. But every single one of them before him as well has done something similar. So
it's been kind of a foundational thing, it sounds like, kind of building blocks for your career.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, what is the most gratifying part of your job with OSI? Now, you've been, like I said, to different detachments and whatever, and now that you're with PJ, or special projects, if you will, is there a particular gratifying part of your job that really gets you going?
I would say there was two things. One of them was the opportunity to deploy for OSI. I think OSI has a really unique deployment operational mission. My opportunity was in 2009 in Iraq, in Balad,
right?
And had a great mission there, and we did a lot of really good things there. That's obviously since transitioned. We're in the middle of transition in Afghanistan as well, as we all know, and so there's a lot of feelings with that.
Right.
But I was very proud of what we did out there across the board to better the lives of the Iraqi community and the Air Force and the military there and the people in that region. And second to that would be what we do with OSI PJ. OSI PJ and special projects are really kind of the tip of the spear of technology and technology protection and what our future capabilities are going to be.
Yeah.
And so being a part of that, especially on weapon systems like F-35, which is kind of the tip of the spear for DoD as a whole,
right,
is really, really gratifying. You get an opportunity to kind of see these weapon systems and the people associated with them and work with them on a daily basis to kind of push this new modern way of the future forward and deliver an uncompromised weapon system to the warfighters. Really exciting.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely sounds like it. Now, I know hindsight's always 20/20, as we say, but if you could do it all over again, Aaron, is there anything you would change about your OSI career?
I would say, I heard another person say this, and I thought they were spot on, and it would basically be start it sooner.
Okay.
I wish I would have known about OSI sooner. Even in the Marine Corps, I wasn't even that familiar with NCIS.
Right.
Surprisingly, which everybody knows NCIS because of all the TV shows. But I would say understanding and knowing what the mission is, knowing that we have such a diverse group of agents, not only people and ethnic groups and everything else, but the fact that we are one of the few, if only, organizations that actually has enlisted agents that are fully credentialed to carry out federal investigations. We have civilians, that fall into the 1811 career field.
Yeah.
And we have officers that help lead us through those investigations as well.
Sure.
So the diversity of what we bring to the table as an agency is unmatched to that of almost anybody else. Again, NCIS is primarily civilian. Your other agencies are primarily, like CID is primarily military officers. And as you get outside of that, we start to get into other outside agencies, FBI and others that everybody's familiar with. They're all civilian. So the diversity that OSI brings to the table, having people that worked in those areas, especially on your enlisted side and even in your IMA side, that worked in the various areas where we are investigating, helps lead to the successful case closures that we have.
Yeah, very well said. Well, that really is a perfect segue into my next question. Why is diversity and inclusion foundational to the success of OSI? I know you just alluded to it, but it seems like there are so many ways that D&I is a building block for the success of the command that it's worth repeating.
Yeah, I mean, I think OSI has been kind of the tip of the spear when it comes to that. The Air Force as a whole has been kind of the lead on that. And I think that's really, really good. I think what we have to remember sometimes, though, is it's not about seeing the numbers necessarily grow. We want those to all be equal. We want those to all be at a level that's shows that there isn't discrimination taking place.
Right.
But one of the biggest things that we want to make sure is that we have diversity of thought.
Exactly.
There are lots of people that have a lot of different opinions about how things should be done and how they should be ran, and have different experiences based on their careers, their jobs, ethnic backgrounds, race, and everything else.
Sure.
The combination of all those is why OSI is so successful, is the diversity of thought.
Mm-hmm. Very well said again. Now, I'm going to refer now back to your biography, because you had a phrase in there listed in your professional skills that I thought was a very interesting way of putting things. You called yourself a challenger of the status quo. Now, I think that ties into my next question, which is, what direction do you envision OSI going into the future? Do you envision things really changing, and you have to be flexible to be able to adapt with the changing, global environment and so forth?
Yeah.
Now it's your philosophical hat, Aaron.
Yeah. Some of my coworkers would agree that I definitely challenge the status quo sometimes. And you push the boundary and you get kind of pushed back a little bit, but at least you're pushing the boundaries a little bit. And that's the way you keep things moving forward. So I've had my hand slapped a time or two by, like, pretty much everybody else. The honest truth is, ultimately, technology is really going to be leading the way, and investigations, the way that we move forward, are going to be changing with cybersecurity, malware, ransomware picking up by significant percentage points. Our move into space and Space Force and Space Command. I really see OSI being able to thrive in those types of environments. We've kind of led the way anyway with information technology and cases related to those, where even above and beyond what our counterparts could do.
Right.
And I see us kind of taking those same type of steps in technology advancements, the way OSI PJ runs. And really digging those deeper into cyber and space. Right.
Yeah, no doubt that I'm sure PJ is going to be more than intimately involved with the way technology is going. There's no doubt about that. For a second, Aaron, let's put on your recruiting hat now, okay? What advice would you give someone who would like to join OSI?
Well, the biggest thing is ultimately just opening their eyes up to the opportunity. I talked about supervisors in the past helping me help others. back when I was with OSI PJ-8 in Texas, my supervisors allowed me to work with another fellow FBI agent who I worked with all the time.
Uh-huh.
And we took some time to go and speak to criminal justice and legal high school classes.
Oh, okay.
And just talk about law enforcement on the federal side of things.
Right.
And what we found quite interesting is that those classes pretty much focused on local law enforcement. How do you become a local police officer and the requirements for that, and had almost no understanding or knowledge of what it would take to become a federal agent, and even after going to school and everything like that. So opening their eyes up, but letting them know that the DOD, Air Force, OSI has a great opportunity to advance a career in law enforcement if that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
And be on the forefront of technology that's going to be the way of the future.
Wow. So I'll just as a quick side note on that, did any of those young people come up with you asking for more information or anything like that you really kind of piqued the interest of some of those young folks?
Yeah, absolutely. Every time. We typically try to go up there twice a year and spend some time with the classes. And every single time when we were done, they wanted to come up and ask more questions and thank us for coming and visiting and let us know they had no idea that was even an option, and had a better understanding of what they needed to do, so that when they did decide to, and we kind of focused more along the lines of, if they decided to go to college and get their degree, what they could be doing and thinking about as they're preparing to maybe apply for an 1811 civilian position.
Yeah.
But I also talked to them a little bit about, hey, if you're looking at joining the military and you're looking at joining the Air Force, OSI is an option down the road for you as well. You'll go in, you'll learn a skill, get in a career field. It really doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
And then you'll have an opportunity to apply for OSI and have the same roles and responsibilities and authority that everybody else does. Really, really unique opportunity. So to keep that in the back of your mind, if that's a potential goal, and it really doesn't matter what you do before that, because we want everybody that's worked in every single career field. It doesn't matter whether you're a historian or a maintainer.
Yeah. See, it sounds like you got this recruiting thing down pretty well, Aaron. Finally, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
No, not really. Just that, I appreciate the time, appreciate the opportunity to kind of just get my story out a little bit. Had a very unique career, again, with the Marine Corps and regular Air Force Reserves, and then as an OSI IMA, and then finally as a civilian. And that career path has been very unique and very rewarding.
All right. Very well said. Our guest has been the Counterintelligence Lead and Program Security Officer at Office of Special Projects, Detachment 9, operating location JSF at Arlington, Virginia, Special Agent Aaron Garcia. Aaron, thanks once again for taking the time. It was great to talk to you today.
Thanks, Wayne. You too.
And thanks to all of you listening for tuning in. For OSI Today, my OSI Journey, I'm Wayne Amon saying so long for now.